Hello my beautiful Glamazons and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are excited for story time. I know y'all are, okay? I know. I'm just gonna jump right in. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend and I hope you guys have something special planned for Father's Day for all the great dads out there and the mamas that gotta play daddies, you know. As usual, before we jump into today's story time, we're going to go over the Glamazon shot of the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, these are my girls, loyal, beloved Glamazons who love to send me their selfies on Twitter and Instagram using their hashtag GlamazonShot. I like giving them a shout out because, you know, they love and support my ass all the time, no matter what. So this is my girl, Nina. She actually got a hold of me on Twitter. I'm so proud of her. She just graduated this past weekend. And not only that, my girl is going to school for criminology and forensic science. Just so proud of you, Nina. Thank you so much for sending me your glamour shot and letting me kind of celebrate with you. I am so proud of you. I love seeing you guys just, you know, be successful and be graduating, be educated. I really enjoy it. So thank you so much for sharing that moment with me. Thank you for being one of my beloved Glamazons. You guys know that I would not be here without you and I could not do this without each and every one of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now before we jump into this, you know, while the page is flipping, just make sure that you're subscribed and you hit that notification bell so you're always here for new story times and Ask Nikki's and, you know, stuff like that. So, So today's story time is going to dive into a part of my life that honestly I was really nervous to talk about just because I didn't want people speculating, but now I'm at this place in my life where like I just really don't care. I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, this topic and wanting to know more and just kind of wanting to know like the behind the scenes. So I figured, you know, I have this experience. I'm not ashamed of it whatsoever. I did what I had to do. And y'all know your girl's a hustler. I had to make money. So this was one of the ways that I did. And I learned a lot and I experienced a lot. And there was drama as per usual. You know what? Honestly, I wouldn't have traded the experience in for the world. I think that it was really enlightening and it was just, you guys will find out. I say all that to say this. Today's story time is going to be about my experience working in a gentleman's club. I had to name it that because I just feel like any other name probably would have gotten demonetized that fast. If you don't know what a gentleman's club is, it's like a fancy way of saying a club, okay? I didn't tell these stories because I didn't want you guys automatically assuming that I was a dancer or an entertainer. But honestly, I mean, who cares? Although I will say, I'm missing, like the makings of being a good dancer, girl. I ain't got that, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm lacking in certain areas. So I wanted to talk about how I got this job, what it was like when I first began, and some of the craziest nights of my life happened at this job. As you can imagine, we met rappers, we met all kinds of crazy people, you know, working at this place. So if you guys are interested in knowing the behind the scenes of what this life is like, from my perspective anyway, when I was working there, then please keep on watching. So let's start at the beginning as per usual. I was probably, I want to say I was like 22. I think I was 22. I had a full-time job. I was working at that oil and gas place. Y'all remember the one. And I was making pretty good money. Like when I first started working there, the money that I was making, it was like amazing, right? But it feels like, you know, as you start making more money, you acquire more bills. And so that's kind of what started happening. And all of a sudden the check that I used to have that like seemed so grand was kind of dwindling because we had more expenses. You know, we had Julian and we had other responsibilities that, you know, cost money. As most of you guys know from that experience working at this oil and gas firm, I was not getting promoted as I was supposed to, and I was not getting paid as much as I was expecting to during the course of my time there. So when I started getting the whiff that the promotion was probably going to be like far in the future, I had to start thinking about another plan of how to make more money. Now you guys know that I also bartended for a very small while, and I will say this, I was not like a fantastic bartender, okay? And it definitely wasn't my preferred choice of like job, just because I feel like the mixing process and like people yelling at you, you know, just wasn't my jam. So I didn't do that for a long time. It's so hard to find like a part-time job. It's a part of the time that you're available. Does that make sense? So me having a full-time job, I needed to find something that was like a night shift, but also I didn't want to work every day of the week. Like I didn't want to have like a Monday through Friday night shift. I wanted maybe 2 or 3 days throughout the week total, and like weekends were fine. I was willing to give up my weekends because your girl needed to make money. I felt like I didn't want to take a job that was like paying this much. I needed something that was going to give me the potential to really make some good money, okay? It was entry level, but also a night shift, but also like not Monday through Friday, so I don't want to work in another office, you know what I'm saying? So I was like going through my different options. I actually had a friend, and she had a friend that was a cocktail waitress, right? And if you guys don't know what that is, it's just basically the girl that brings the drinks from the bar over to you. And that's why she's called a cocktail waitress, because she brings you cocktails. So you can find cocktail waitresses at gentlemen's clubs. You can find them at some clubs. You know, they're the girls that be bringing out like the bottles and stuff for people's birthdays and stuff. That's a cocktail waitress. Talking to my girl, and I'm telling her, you know, like I got these bills to pay. You know, my job's tripping. And I'm trying to look for another place to work, girl. Like, I remember at that time, I was just really tired of living paycheck to paycheck. So I was like, you know, really pouring out my heart to her. And I was like, I just need to find something. Like, something has to give, because it's just not cutting it. What we're making right now just isn't cutting it, right? And so she starts telling me about how her friend has been like going to school. She's a full-time student, and this is what she does. She's a cocktail waitress. And she was like, you know, she makes pretty decent money, like, and she only works from like Wednesday through Saturday or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. I immediately start like picking her brain, like, okay, well, like, where does she work? Do you think that they're hiring? Can you get me in touch with her? And she was like, yeah. She was like, actually, I was thinking about doing the same, because, you know, she had her own thing going on. She had her son, and she was like, you know, I need some more money too. So I want to go like with you. When you go apply, I'll go apply too, and maybe we can get a job at the same place. You know, you guys have to imagine, you know, since I was like 17, even before then, I was like interning at a courthouse, you know. I was always either having to dress in business casual or business formal. Like, you know, it was never like, especially for interviews, like I could kill it in an interview, but I only know about like corporate interviews, you know. I don't know anything about applying for a job at a place like this. So like, y'all, I was so lost. I was like, what do I wear? Like, I cannot go in there with my huge pencil skirt and button down shirt, okay? Like, it needs to be, I don't know. So I'm like freaking out, and I'm asking my friend. She had a little bit more laid back of a view of it. She was like, girl, you just go in like, you know, something cute, you know, like some boots and like some cute little jeans and whatever. She was like, don't overthink it. So we make these plans, and I want to say like that Thursday, it was like in the middle of the week, that like her friend had told her it was going to be the best time for us to go. Now I needed to talk to David. I knew that I was fine with this concept of me working in a club like that, but I didn't know how he was going to feel about it. So I talked to him, and I was like, hey, you know what's going on in our situation, okay? And David was doing everything that he could. Like, he was working in Wyoming for like months at a time. He was like taking weekend shifts. He was working 12-hour days. Like, we were killing ourselves, right? And so there was really nothing else that he could do, and I feel bad. I bring this up to David, and at first he was just like, wait a minute. He actually took it, you know, really well. He was like, you know, I get why you feel like, you know, you can make some good money there. And, you know, I had given him all these reasons, and I was like, look, I know this is a little weird. I'm going to be working nights. I'm probably going to be working weekends. I was like, and, you know, it's going to be different. He was like, yeah, but it's only going to be temporary. Like, obviously this wasn't like a long-term plan. It was just to get us through a few rough spots. He was like, do it, make as much money as you can. Meanwhile, you know, since you'll be working nights and weekends, I'm just gonna go up to Wyoming and take them up on that offer. I get per diem and all this. And so we start coming up with this plan. Like, we're both gonna be hustling and working our asses off for like the next X amount of months until we get to a good spot. I wanted to get into a good spot financially, but I also wanted to finally have like a nest egg, like a savings in case anything happened. Y'all, we were living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Like, not even kidding. So David was super down for it. So that was it. And the conversation really wasn't that big of a deal. And then, you know, a few days later, it was like the day to actually go to the club and like, you know, fill out an application. A lot of times now when you're applying for jobs, all of it is online. But, you know, when it comes to places like this, they do rely on how you look, you know, visually and like outwardly. So they want to see you in person when you come by and you have to like apply in person. I was really nervous because I knew that I wanted to do this and I had a good reason and everything, but I was just so booty tight about even talking to my mom about this. And like, you guys already know I'm really close to my mom. She was gonna know, obviously, that I was gonna have like a night and weekend job, and she was gonna ask where I was gonna be working, and I just didn't know how to tell her I work at a strip club. You know, like, imagine telling Mama Glamour that, like, hey, I work at a strip. Y'all, like, I was so booty tight about it, but I was like, she's just gonna have to understand, like, I don't. The day comes around and I am really nervous, and you know, I was going into an element that I was not used to. My friend had actually worked as a cocktail waitress before. This was not her first rodeo. She had done it like a few years prior and then quit, and you know, she told me it got her through a rough spot, and so she was not nervous at all. So I was just following her lead. We go to this gentleman's club, and it's really, you know, the minute you step inside, it's real dark and sultry or whatever. And they had us in like this front room for a long time, and we're filling out this application. So nervous. I feel like I'm in a spot where I don't belong. Like, I don't know, it's just out of my element. I think at that point I had only been to, I think, like one strip club ever, and it was like for a very small amount of time. So I didn't really know much about, you know, that world. So I was really nervous. Finally, this guy comes out, and you know, he's this bald guy. He's like, you know, come on back, you know, I'll show you guys the floor or whatever. So he brings us into this back door, and it, you know, opens up into a huge room, and there are different like stages on each side of the room, and it's like long. It's not wide, it's just really long. And then each stage has its own spotlight and a dancer, right? And then around the stage you got like seats. For the most part, it was a pretty small place, and then on the back far wall was like a huge bar. He starts talking really fast, and he's like, okay, you know, basically we're only looking for one person, and it's only temporary. You know, like, one of our girls has a family emergency, and you know, so she's gonna be taking off, so we just need somebody to pick up her shifts. You know, we already have the schedule mapped out. Here are the copies of that schedule. Whichever one of you guys can make that work, you got the job. Like, it was very like this, right? So I'm like looking at this schedule, and I'm looking at my friend, and I'm like, like, you don't want to ask if we've ever done this before? Like, can I get a little look-see around at your, like, how you do things? Like, some of that girl's shifts were like during the day, and that was like an absolute no for me. I couldn't. I had, you know, my regular job, and so did my friend. So like, the minute we saw that, we were like, no, sorry, we can't work like daytime hours during the week. And he was like, you know, sorry, that's all we got. He was like, don't worry, we'll give you a call at least within the next few months. And I was like, okay, well, that's a bit long, okay? He was very sure. He didn't have any other like questions. It was the most awkward interview I had ever had in my entire life. There are a lot of strip clubs here, as you can imagine. However, we didn't want to work in just any strip club. We wanted to work in like some of the higher end, which are located downtown Denver, right? So that's where we honed in on. We didn't want to go out to the weird like suburbs, y'all know. Those suspect places, like holes in the wall. Like, I'm not trying to do that. We also wanted to make sure that we're making the most amount of money possible, and like, high rollers always come downtown. Like, if they're gonna be in Denver, they're gonna be downtown. I think we stopped and got lunch or whatever, and I just called it a day. I didn't go anywhere else, and I went home kind of discouraged, and I was like, you know, what am I gonna do? Maybe I can just try to look for office jobs. Every place I go to might want me to work during the week, and I can't, like, you know, during the day, want me to be flexible, and I just can't do that. So it really, that whole experience just kind of like jolted me. I was just pretty sure that it wasn't gonna work out. 2 weeks passed, and I'm still just trying to find another office job. Like, they need night filing or night workers for whatever reason, and it's really hard to find that. It's super, super hard to find that. So one day I was, you know, at my regular job, and as most of you guys know, I was like, you know, receptionist. I was at the front. You know, a lot of times my coworkers that were gonna go on lunch together, they would like meet up at my desk. You know what I'm saying? It would be like, okay, let's meet at the front. So everyone would meet at my desk, and they would, you know, start talking to me, and they would tell me where they were gonna go for lunch and all this and all that, right? One day, one of my coworkers came out into the lobby area, and of course it's, you know, lunch hour, and so hardly anybody's in the office, and she comes out with one of those like little tiaras with like the little veil. I was like, hold on. I was like, are you the Bachelorette? And she was like, yeah. This was like in the middle of the day, okay? Like straight up in the middle of the day. Dang, you gonna get started right now? Okay, I can respect it. Third one of my coworkers, and then a fourth, and like more and more girls from the office were like coming to meet up at the front. I'm talking to some of them and I'm like, where are y'all going? Like, are y'all going to lunch? And they were like, no, we actually all asked for half the day off today because we're gonna get started with the bachelorette festivities. It had to have been a Friday. It had to have been. I had plans to like go to lunch together and then like take a limo, and then they were all talking about like all the other spots they were gonna hit throughout the night. Like this was their first stop, okay? They start telling me what they're gonna be doing for the rest of the night, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go here for lunch, and then we're gonna stop at this bar for some drinks, and then after that the limo's gonna come get us, then the limo's gonna take us over to Diamond. What's Diamond? So this was the very first time that I was hearing about this spot called Diamond Cabaret. Apparently this was like the more fancier spots in Denver, still around, still in the heart of Denver. It's this huge strip club, but it's also like a really great steakhouse. Like it's 2 in 1. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, girl, like they have like the cigar room there. They got the steakhouse. They got a VIP room. Like it's this huge strip club. So we're going to go there. Like that's going to be our 3rd or 4th spot. Oh, and I was like, where is it at? And they were like, girl, it's right off of Spear. Yeah, it's on Colfax and something. So I kept that in my mind and I was like, all right, I'm gonna look that place up because I had no idea. Anyways, they leave on their merry way. They're gonna go have some fun. And I start thinking about this Diamond Cabaret spot. So I get on my phone and I look them up, and sure enough, they're like right down the street from where I work, because I worked right there for like 17th. Anything downtown, I mean, I could get there with like a mall ride and a short walk, you know? So I start getting really excited and I'm looking at this place, and it looks super bougie, and it looks very like, it doesn't look like what you would think a strip club would look like. Y'all, it looks so luxurious and like very high end. Yes, that is what I was envisioning, like the higher end to make a lot of money. So I immediately made a plan that I was gonna go the next week. I didn't want to go during the weekend because obviously that's when they're gonna be the busiest. I needed to catch them on a very slow day so that I can ensure that I could talk to someone on their staff. And I take off for my lunch and I hop on the mall ride and I walk like 2 or 3 blocks, and it's right there on the left. Keep in mind, I'm coming from my job, so I have, you know, my business casual clothes on, but I was just gonna have to wing it and go in there and just basically be up front and be like, look, I need a job. I walk up to this building and it is huge, okay? It's huge security guard. He comes out and he like opens the door for me, and he looked at me and he was like, do you work here? Well, not yet. Here to like pick up an application. I really would love to work here. And he was like, hold on a second. And I was like, okay. So he closes the door and I'm like standing there, and you guys, I feel all kinds of embarrassed. I was like, I'm standing outside of the strip club. Everybody's just gonna assume that I'm a stripper. And I was just, whatever. Literally nobody cared. I thought he straight up forgot about me out there. But he finally opens the door and he was like, they said that you could go ahead and just pick up the application, but you'll have to come back to talk to somebody. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to get a peek inside of there because everything that I had seen up to this point was like on the website. So he lets me in, and there's like a front area, and there's like a desk off to the right, and that's where you pay, you know, because there is like an entrance fee. And so they have like the cash register, and there was this girl standing there. Immediately when you walk in, she's like right there, and she was like, hi, can I help you? And like she just kind of like looked at me like, bitch, you don't belong here. Like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm really interested in working here. I was like, if you guys have any availabilities. And she was like, well, what exactly is it that you're looking for? What type of position? Are you looking to be a dancer? Are you looking to be like, you know, bartender? What, like what? I was actually looking to be a cocktail waitress if you guys have any availability. She was like, well, I can tell you right now that we don't, but you're more than welcome to fill out the application and I'll just send it over to the manager. Okay. You know, she starts looking around and she's like at her little desk. And she's looking around, she's like, I don't have any printed out. I'm gonna go to the back room, print it out real fast, just wait right here. And I was like, okay. Meanwhile, there's like one door, like the front door, and then there's like a small little walkway and then a second door. I'm on the other side, like I'm inside, right? And the security guard, he was like in that middle part between the 2 doors, so he couldn't see me. So when she walked away, I like took that time to like, you know, do a little spying, like, you know, a little observation, figure out, you know, what it looked like and like who's in here, you know? Walk in, you have to like make a hard turn in order to get the main area with like the stages and stuff, right? So when you first walk in, you can't see nothing. Start like tiptoeing and I'm like peeking, I'm going down, you know, a little further so that I can look around that corner. There's just like these long velvet drapes coming from the ceiling to the floor, and on the right side, like next to the front desk, there was like this big, it almost looked like a wine cellar, but it was nothing but cigars. And like they had high-end, all the cigars you could possibly imagine in that room. And it's like made out of glass from top to bottom, so you could see right into it. It was like so fancy. And on the left is where that corner is, where you walk into the main area. So I kind of peek around there, and there are a few guys in there, and then I see some dancers. The weird but different thing about this spot is that they don't have poles. They do not use poles. It's all just a marble stage, okay? Like it's round. There are, I want to say, if I remember correctly, like 8 of them, and they're huge. You know, anytime I had gone to a strip club or like seen strip clubs, it always had poles, and it always had like these bright lights, and you know, kind of looked like a club. This place was not like that. It was very dim. It was like damn near, like they had little candles on each table, and it was very, it was like classy, for lack of better words. It really was. And then, y'all, so I'm like looking in that room and I'm like, oh shit, like this is real fancy. Like this is so bad compared to what I was imagining, okay? All of a sudden I see this guy in all white. He looked like a chef coming out of a door to the right. Like I didn't even notice it, but the door was made out of all glass, but the rest of the wall was like black. It like blended in. And so I see him come out of there, and I look in there through the glass door, and y'all, it is a full-on looking like 5-star restaurant up in there. Like candles and flowers on every table, white linen, like high-end steakhouse up in there. So nice. So I'm like peeking in there. I'm like, oh my God. So that was the steakhouse that was a part of Diamond. Then I see old girl, the one that was getting my application. I see her coming through the main area. So I'm like, whoop. So I, you know, take a few steps back and I go back to the little desk. So she comes back. She hands me the application. She was like, okay, well, thanks for stopping by. Anytime you want to drop that off, you can. Any day, it's fine. And then we'll give you a call if we have an opening. I took that application and I took a pin off of her desk. At the end of the long entryway, like next to the cigar spot, there was like this random table. It was like really tall, but it was like a marble table. So I was like, hey, can I go stand over there real fast? Yeah. And I was like, okay. So you guys, like, she was just like looking at me like, bitch, what are you doing? Like, why are you still here? And I was like, I am not leaving. Okay. There's no reason for me to leave. I can sit here and fill this out. I got an hour for lunch. I'm gonna fill this out and give it to you now, because I told you that I need a job now. Like, I cannot be waiting all day. You guys, I left that day so determined. I was like, I'm going to get this job. Like, I'm gonna get it, because like, can you imagine how much they make at a place like that? Like, I need me some of that. I need me a slice. I'm going to get this job. I was not playing around. Every day for the rest of the week, I was going there during my lunch hour in person to ask if the manager had seen my application yet, if there was any way that I could speak to him in person. Y'all, I was just like, hello, like, I'm here again. The security guard started knowing me, like, after Wednesday went around. He was like, girl, you have been here every day. I was like, look. It's funny because that same security guard ended up being one of my best friends there at work. Finally, I went there, and the girl that was at the front desk, she was like, just give me 1 second. And I was like, okay. She comes back with this really tall guy. He's like tall and skinny, and we will name him Anthony. So she comes up with this guy, and I hear her, before she even like comes around the corner, I hear her say, she's here again. Like, that girl, she's here again. He comes around the corner and he looks over at me, and he has like an earpiece in his ear, and he's got like a full-on suit. He was like, you know, hi, I'm the manager. He was like, I received your application, and I've heard that you are really eager to work here, and you've been coming here every day this week. He was like, why don't you actually come into my office? And I was like, okay. Finally, like, I'm gonna talk to him and everything, but like, again, this is a world that I don't know. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm just like jumping in and hoping and praying that it all works out and that I'm not in over my head and that I'm not like, you know, ill prepared for this. This was like one of the only interviews that I was going into scared. We're walking through the main area and I'm walking past these stages and these dancers are up there and I'm like, because these stages are so big, y'all, they like, when they stand up, they're like tall, so you're like really looking up. So I'm like looking up and I'm like, oh my god, like I've never seen anything like this. It's crazy. So we go into this office and it has two big conference tables in it and then a desk over in the corner, and he goes and he sits down at the desk and like right on the side was a chair. So he was like, you know, have a seat. And it was like one of those things that you see in someone's principal's office, you know, like a seat right there for the bad kid. You guys, he just sat there and he just looked at me for like a good 30 seconds without saying anything to me. He was just doing one of these. So, what's your story? Why do you want to work here? Okay, well, start giving him my spiel. I was like, look, you know, I have a full-time job. I have these responsibilities. I need something that's going to make me a lot of money in a short amount of time. I'm a hard worker. I'm a quick learner. You know, I give him my use, like these are my strengths. This is what I know I can do well. I think I would be a great asset to your team if given the chance. Have you ever worked at a club before? Like, have you ever done this before? And I was like, you know, I can't lie about stuff like that, okay? Like, there's no way. So I was like, no. And I kept saying no, but. I was like, no, but I'm a quick learner. There's absolutely nothing that you can show me that I won't get within a day's time, honestly. Like, if you just give me the chance. So what position exactly are you looking for? He was like, are you trying to be an entertainer? Actually, ideally, I would like to be a cocktail waitress. I was like, I was like, I don't have the skill to be a stripper. Immediately, he was like, no. He was like, they're either dancers or entertainers here, okay? That is how we refer to them. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, so you're not looking to be an entertainer, all right? He was like, so you want to be a cocktail waitress? And I said, yes. He was like, I'm going to be completely honest with you. He was like, my team that I have here with my cocktail waitresses, I mean, they've been doing this for upwards of 5 years. He was like, they're really experienced and really well trained, and I like to keep it that way. He was like, you know, usually I'm not in the habit of hiring somebody with absolutely no experience and putting them out on the floor. He was like, you know, this place gets really busy and hectic, and I just don't know if you'd be able to keep up with, you know, the lack of experience that you have. You know, there are other girls that are at Diamond After Dark. So they had like this other area of the strip club itself. You guys, this place is huge. And it's called Diamond After Dark. So they're open like 2 hours after normal closing time, but you can't serve alcohol up there. So the girls that work up there, they hardly get any tips because they don't serve alcohol up there. They can't by law. So a lot of times they're like serving Red Bulls and like stuff like that, and like hookahs. They had hookahs up there, but they were having a hard time getting their tips because nobody was getting tipsy. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. I got girls that are in Diamond After Dark that are dying to come down to this floor so they can make really good money. But, you know, basically he was telling me like you don't meet my criteria. You don't meet my standard for what I'm looking for to put somebody out on the floor. I have a few openings coming up, you know, that I know about within the next few weeks. I really appreciate your interest, but I just don't think that you're the right fit. Okay. If you think that I'm about to walk out of here without a job, you watch your mind. We're gonna have to figure something out. It's like, so there's literally nothing else that I can do here. Like any other position, I was like, I don't care if it's like cleaning up after bartenders. If I could just get the experience and get my foot in the door here, I would really appreciate it. I was like, because man, something's gotta give. Like, I really need this. He's like, I will see what I can come up with. He was like, maybe if you're down, you could do Diamond After Dark. It is a slower crowd. He was like, it's not as demanding, and maybe we can start you out there. He was like, no promises though. I'll look into it, and if I find anything that I see would be a good fit, I'll give you a call. I felt like he was like blowing me off at this point. I was like, ugh. I grabbed my things and I got up and I left, and I was like, okay, well, there goes that. You know, it's just not meant to be. By the time I got back to my job, I was like, it's just not meant to be. Like, I'm just gonna stick it out here and hopefully my promotion comes in soon. You know, I've been trying to look at other places to work and apply for other jobs, and it's just not happening. So, you know, it is what it is. And I called David after work and I was like really discouraged, and I was like, I would love to help, but you know, this ain't working out. I don't know what to do, so I'm stuck. Like, I was sad. I really was. And I would say, I mean, a few days maybe. I actually got a text on my phone and it said, hey, it's Anthony from Diamond. Do you have time to meet today? I was at work when he sent me this text. I texted him right back and I told him, yeah, you know, I can meet up with you after work today. Like, is 5:30 fine? And he was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. He takes me back to that same office. And he was like, okay, I have a proposition for you if you are interested. And I'm like holding my breath. And I was like, you know, I'm here to be a cocktail waitress. Like, I don't, seriously, you guys, like, there's nothing wrong with being a dancer. I'm way too shy and I'm way too self-conscious for it. Like, I'm definitely not that flexible. Not anymore anyways. It took forever to like tell me what it was. And he was like, so there has been an aspect, you know, my business here that we lost a few months back that we haven't been able to restart in a while because we can't seem to find anybody that fits the role well. Either that happens or the girl that does really well with that role actually gets promoted to cocktail waitress. He was like, so I want to see if you can revive this entire idea, and if you can, then I promise you that I will give you a chance to start training with cocktail waitresses. Challenge accepted. Well, we used to have a beer tub, and I was like, we used to have a beer tub station with a beer tub girl, and you know, you'd basically be selling them beer before they even walked into the main area. I was like, but how successful is that? He was like, it depends. Sometimes it's really successful and sometimes it's not. He was like, it's all up to you whether or not you can convince them to stop at your beer tub instead of going to our full service bar. Beer tub girl. Okay, I can get my mind around it. Although I didn't really know the full ins and outs, I was like, I can do that. Like, I can sell beer at the front. It's fine. Like, convincing guys to buy beer, like, okay, fine, I got this. All right. He was like, well, let me show you where you'll be working. And I was like, wait, right now? And he was like, do you have something to do? He was like, it's fine. I won't give you a full night. You can stay here for like 2 hours. I'm just going to get you trained. And I was like, okay, you guys, like, right away. So he takes me right back to the front area, and y'all know that table that I was writing on to fill out my application? It was that thing. That's why it was like pushed up against the wall all weird, and it looked like it was misplaced, and it was like a really tall table, but when you went to the back, it really was like a little mini bar, and like there were shelves behind there that like you could hold stuff on, and you know, you can step behind there and it like completely, it goes out and then around, so like it really is like a mini bar, right? So he pulls it away from the wall and he kind of like, you know, gets some dust off of it, and he was like, took it on. I was like, yes, I can do this, let's do it. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna get the bar back out here, and you know, he's gonna help you set up. And I was like, okay. I am still in my work clothes. Okay, so the bar back comes. He is the nicest guy that I had ever worked with, and we will call him like Keith. Okay, so he introduces himself. He's really funny, and he's like small. He was literally like shorter than me, but man, he was fast, and he used to carry those big ass tubs of ice and like just the cases and cases of beer like all at once. Like, he was like freakishly strong. I have like different IPAs. I got like your regular Coors, your Bud Light, your Stellas, your Coronas, all that. And then he also gave me a few garnishments. On the left side, they put out my tip jar, and on the front it said real big tips, right? That was basically it. Just a tip jar, my big ass beer tub, and my limes, and a few bar napkins, and then my bottle opener. That was it. They gave me one of those really long bottle openers that's like a circle at the end, and then the other end is the actual bottle opener. This guy, this older guy came in, and he was probably in his 60s. And the minute he walked in, the waitresses and the girl at the register, all of them, like the security guards and stuff, they all started greeting this one guy, and they were calling him Mr. something. He didn't even have to pay his entrance fee or anything. And so he's like sitting there, you know, talking to all the girls and talking to the security guards and stuff and saying hi. And then all of a sudden he sees me standing there, and he looks at me and he goes, I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting you. You must be new. He starts walking over to my beer tub, and I was like, yeah. I was like, this is my first night actually. And he goes, you know, I haven't seen this puppy around for a while, so you're gonna give it a shot, huh? And I was like, yeah. And he looked over at my tip jar and he goes, how's it going? And I was like, it's slow, as you can tell. Like, you know, I was like, not many people are coming here right now to party. How about you serve me one of those Coronas real fast? And I was like, okay. You guys, he was my first customer. So, you know, I get him a Corona, I pop off the lid, I put in a little lime or whatever, I give him a bar napkin and hand it to him. Not only did they have me selling beer, the beer was like insanely overpriced, okay? Like insane. Opens up his wallet and he pulls out 100. He said, I want you to keep the change and fill up that jar for me, okay? You guys, I was so grateful to him. I was like, oh my God, like, thank you so much. So, you know, I was like making a bunch of small bills with that and like put it in my tip jar so that I wouldn't look so lonely and like such a failure. Here's where things got a little sticky. Icky. I started getting some side eyes from different cocktail waitresses that had been working there forever and ever and ever, and they started kind of noticing how much in tips I was making, and I don't think that they like that very much, because essentially, I mean, I get it, I was kind of taking customers from them, because if guys are already walking in there with their beers, well, then they're not going to sit down and need a cocktail waitress right away. So some of them felt like I was taking some of their tips. The girl that was working at the front desk, she was like the girl that worked the register. She and I started getting real close because we were the only ones up there. So like we started getting to know each other and talking, and like as the weeks were going on, she was like, yeah, girl, like you're doing really great and everything, but not everybody's happy about that, you know? Started getting, you know, side eyes from these cocktail waitresses, and that was like the last thing that I wanted, because I wanted to join them, you know, get promoted to what they're doing, because I felt like they're making way more money than me. It started kind of causing a rift. Like I could feel it. You know that feeling when like you can tell that a group of girls just aren't feeling you? Things can't stay chill for me. I can't just fly under the radar for too long without something happening. So one in particular, she really just, you could tell she had a problem with me. Like she did not like me at all. Like it was very evident. She did not try. Every time she would come up, she would legit look at me and like roll her eyes and like, don't even fucking talk to me, bitch. And so I never said anything to her because it was very clear that she wanted nothing to do with me. So she kept doing that, and so I just made note that that girl doesn't like me. Like whatever, I'm not gonna stop doing my job. It is what it is. Who cares? I don't know you. I did end up having bigger issues with Ashley as my time there went on. I had to handle that situation. If you guys would like that story, please let me know down below. But this is the first part of my experience working at this gentleman's club. I wanted to give you guys like an origin story of like how I got this job and why, and how I ended up working there, and like what it was like for me to get my foot in the door. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. If you did and would like to hear more about my experience and my time working at this gentleman's club, let me know down below, and also give this video a thumbs up to let me know. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do so. I would love to have you a part of my Glamazon family, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you are notified, okay? Like seriously, I won't post it on my Twitter and my Snapchat and all that for like an hour after it goes live, because notification gang be here first. So either you gonna get it first or you're not. It's up to you. But anyways, I love y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for coming to join me for story time today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I love you guys, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Peace